Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to today's Africa. This is your host, Dr. Francis Munangi Mpindu, Dr. FM here, live on Love Bay Afrobeat Music Talk Radio. We are delighted that you've joined us. We go live every Saturday at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we're just so delighted that you have joined us. We bring in a variety of guests every Saturday to talk about matters pertaining to Africa. And today is one of those days, again, a special day that we do have another special guest. And so, again, this is the day the Lord has made, and we will rejoice and be glad in it. And we don't apologize for starting our programs this way because this is who we are. And so, again, this is Love Bay Afrobeat Music Talk Radio. Thank you for joining us. We go live in over 100 different countries around the world. And so I trust that you have subscribed and that you check and spread the network to different people within your own networks or within your own tribes, so that we continue to have these informational sessions go around the world, educate, bring awareness, and also just help others to understand what's happening in Africa, what's happening in the diaspora, and in this global village where information is at our fingertips. We are so grateful that Love Bay Afrobeat Music Talk Radio, the #1 African and Caribbean music online radio station, has provided this platform for us. And again, thank you to our executive team for making this possible. Keep up the good work. So today we are delighted. We are delighted that you're here. We have a special guest. His name is Kayode-Osonuga. He is the founder of Information Age Resources. He's a young man who is into technology. And today our topic is a powerful one. We want to look at the place of AI in Africa's development. AI is here to stay. And we need to understand how it works and how can we tap into it and use it to our advantage. There's so much happening in the technological world that we need to understand. And it's good to have young people, our own African young men. And Kayode is one of those. So we're really, really delighted. So Kayode, thank you for making time to be with us today. And we're just so delighted that you have made time to be with us. Kayode is actually all the way in the UK. So
Yeah,
again, our studios are in Toronto, in Canada. I'm producing this from this side of the world in North America, in the USA to be specific, and Kayode is way on the other side. And this is what we do. We bring people, we bring guests from all over the world, bring them into the studio. And again, thank you to Mr. TYB, our chief engineer, and his team, who make sure that these systems actually work. And we are using technology to our advantage. And so, Kayode, thank you for making time to be with us. So when people hear the word Kayode, by the way, okay, I don't want to steal this away from you. Kayode, where are you from? And does your name ring a bell in terms of meanings, or is it a lovely name in your part of the
yeah.
world? Tell us just briefly about who you are, and then we will delve into our topic for the day.
Thank you, Dr. Francis. It's such a good pleasure to be here. My name is Kayode-Osonuga, and Kayode means God has brought joy. So you can say that I'm a joy giver. But if I want to identify myself, I would say I'm a Yoruba man. But before I'm a Yoruba person, I would tell myself that I'm Nigerian. But before I'm Nigerian, before I would call I'm Nigerian, I would say I'm an African. I identify as an African, and before I'm an African, I'm a human being. And so when I identify myself as this kind of things, it shows that I'm just one piece of a collective. So there's high sympathy on in where I am, or who I am, someone else is that way. And so what I feel, someone else feels that thing. So um, I'm glad to be here, and I'm glad to be here, and I'm glad to discuss with you about African development and how AI has a part to play in it.
Kayode, for me to hear a young man like yourself saying, listen, I am African. Yes, I am Nigerian, but first and foremost, I am an African. That thrills me. It really does. It really does. I know I'm quite a bit older than you. And so Pan Africanism is something that is very, very close to my heart. And I know it is as well with our, um, executive team. And so it is very encouraging to hear you say these words. So you're starting us on a very, very good note, Kayode. And thank you for bringing this joy. And I hope that this joy is going to, you know, uh,
Last for long. Yeah.
is going to
Just an
last for long. Yeah,
everlasting joy. Everlasting joy.
everlasting joy. I like that.
Yeah.
Everlasting
Yeah.
joy. All right.
Yeah.
So, Kayode, as we think about AI, I'm just before we get into some of the things that we're going to talk about today, how did you actually get into this? How did you get into technology and these sorts of skills that you now have? Just you know, enable us to understand your journey into this.
So I started off as a mechanical engineer in a factory. So where I used to solve real time problems, I was more into engines, bolts and nuts. And just before I was coming to the UK to study, I found this copywriting tool. The name of this was just before ChatGPT had come out, and that copywriting tool. What we just did was that I wrote out the things I wanted to talk about and generated content for me. And in that moment, that is when I really discovered the true possibility of AI, and I was blown because I could then write up messages, content writing, set up websites in space of minutes, minutes compared to like weeks of properly detailing and constructing what you want to write, brainstorming, and that's when I knew that this is a tool, this is a real competitive productivity tool, and ever since I started with AI, I started to for you to be able to fully utilize a tool, or for you to able to fully utilize something, you have to first know how it functions. Because there's you can always be a user of a tool, or you can be a creator of a tool, and that is what you should always aim to do, because that is where the real value comes from. And when I was deep diving into how AI works, and like what it really means. So I discovered that like what AI essentially is a form of data science, in the sense that like we use data science is just the manipulation of data or information points to actually generate meaningful information. Just like when they taught us in school, garbage in, garbage out, or what a computer is, it processes data to bring out information. And AI is just an aspect of data science. But this aspect of data science is called machine learning. That is this is a method in which, using um, algorithms, using mathematical formulas, you give the computer a mathematical formula, and based on those algorithm and mathematical formulas, it can predict the next output based on that thing. And that is a branch of machine learning that has always been there. Machine learning has always been there. There are so many types of machine learning. There's there's there, there's so supervised learning and whatnot. But then what made AI stand out in part of the machine learning tools is what you call um, neural networks. These were things that computer scientists patterned or modeled the way the brain works, how a brain learns, because we learn as a brain, we learn through our neural networks how we we collate one thing to another thing, and that's how AI works now. So the algorithm works in sense that we don't necessarily understand the algorithm doesn't necessarily understand what it's doing, it's saying, but it has a network of words that combine together that make sense, that make meaning, and that is how we develop like large language models in sense that, because take for example now, it's very easy for us to kind of know yellow banana. Yellow banana is very easy for us to make um, a, a connection with. But if I say green orange, that is different because the amount of neural networks that it takes to connect those two words together is not as easy as yellow banana. So that's how neural network works, and that's how large language works, and that's how AI works, because they have a set of transformer tools that connects words and meaning together. And I'm so glad to work in this space for quite a amount of time, because every time I open and discover new things, I'm just always shocked by the innovation that's happening. There's so more, yeah, it's so interesting to talk about, and I could talk more and more about it every time, because I know that this is a true game changer for us. This is a true game changer for Africa, a true game changer for humanity, and we as Africans, we just need to be able to harness it, and the skill and knowledge gap that we need to take advantage of it is there. It's in our hands right now. Yeah, so
Kayode, thank you so much for taking time to give us a synopsis of this very fascinating field. And to some of us who are older and wired differently, this is a totally different language. But I can see how passionate you are about this because you're literally coming alive as you explain this, which is just wonderful. Again, this is Love Bay Afrobeat Music Talk Radio. We're delighted that you have joined us. For those of you who are just joining us today, we are talking with Kayode-Osonuga, who is the founder of Information Age Resources. And he is passionate about technology. And we are hoping that by the end of our session, our discussion, our dialogue today, that you would have a much better understanding of the AI and how it can be used. You are using words like manipulation process, and when I hear manipulation, I'm like, oh, okay, you're manipulating, but then this is a very good thing. It's manipulation processes in a very positive context, and you're talking about, it's important for us to understand how it works. Now, I know that there are some people who are afraid that AI is going to replace human beings. What's your response to those who have those kinds of concerns? Is that really a genuine concern? I obviously there's going to be some overlaps. What can AI do and what can human beings do? But is it legit for us to actually conclude that AI could literally replace human beings?
um, I think if we take a look at history and the industrial revolution that's happened over time, what a revolution or what a disruptive technology like this does is that it actually disrupts the way business processes were done at the current time. Take, for example, the first industrial revolution in the late 1700s. What it did was that before then, factory workers used to use their hands, and they used to go to the factory to weave cotton and weave cloth, textile. And when the engine for the first textile machine was was created, most of those factory workers that used to work in textile factories were laid off because there was a better tool that made things far productive and far productive. But in the other sense of it, because 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 there was a disruptive technology, it created new jobs. But yes, it will AI would really disrupt if it would really disrupt some certain sectors. Because think about it, when the first industrial revolution was happening, the the first hub for textile used to be India. India was the biggest boom of textile production producer in the world. But when the the invention of the first textile production machine started, that made textile making faster and cheaper, and productivity scaled up times 10. And so India couldn't meet up with the production capacity of of UK at the time, and so that really disrupted the economic order. So I see that it will disrupt some is a big technology that will disrupt some parts of the world. But that is why we are here to first keep you ahead of it, so that like we know how to use AI to our benefit. Because no matter what, the whole game, the whole process of what we are eventually looking for is productivity. It's how we can make things faster, how we can make things better, and we want a more abundant world. If you think of it as you want a more abundant world, that is when we understand that these disruptive technologies can disrupt a certain sector, but in the end, it raises our own standards of living for everyone, for humanity. But what we should do as Africans is that we need to get ahead of it. We've missed we've missed the first industrial revolution, we missed the second industrial revolution. But this now is a disruptive technology that we can harness. We can harness. And yeah, we I'm happy that I'm speaking to you now so that we get that sensitization that we should think about AI as a tool to leapfrog to the future.
You know what? I really like your global perspectives in terms of technological advancement and how technology is enhancing, um, I guess, not just globalization, but how things are enhanced. You made reference to the textile production, how India was number one, and I still remember there were lots of times I would see clothes and things, anything to do with cloth, made in India, made in India, made in India, and you were like, yeah, that was a fast track, and it made the textile industry not just be limited to one particular way of doing it. It became cheaper, and now it's like all over the place. And of course, now we have China that has just taken some of these things to another level. And so when I hear you say that this is a game changer, I like that. And I think for me to hear a young person like yourself, it's just like, you know what, our future is in good hands, because I'm aware that you are, I know a little bit more about you. You're a responsible young man, and you are industrious. You are very creative, but you're seeking to
You're
do
different.
this within a context of wanting to make a difference in the world. And so what would be some of the things that you have done in terms of this game changer for you personally? I know that you when you and I first connected, you mentioned that there was the family business. There were some things that you have been into, and now in the UK you went to study, but then you realized, hey, my goodness, I can't let these people, if I may use that phrase, I can't let these people dictate who I am and what I should do. This is who I am, and this is what I can contribute to society. And so this is very, very encouraging. So let us know, just what is it that you have done personally, and what contribution do you see happening, say, within your family business, your family industry, and some of the things that you're doing? What is happening in that world? I know that you can. I know that Kayode can become very, very technical that we may not even understand him. But please reduce that to our language so that we can appreciate the kinds of things that you're doing, Kayode, because I know that you are making a difference in the world.
Okay. So thanks so much. Um, when in terms of the things I've done, um, manufact information aid resources is a manufacturing consulting service, a manufacturing consulting firm that tries to bridge European, African, and Chinese manufacturing opportunities together. And what we try to do is we try to verify OEM suppliers, we try to boost technology transfer, and we try to set up efficient production lines. And this manufacturing firm and this manufacturing consulting came from a deep point or a deep reflection in my past when I told you that um I was in charge of a production line, a manufacturing production line in Nigeria, processing plant where we used to process palm kernel nuts to produce edible oil. And in that situation where we produce crushed palm kernel to create oil, we decided to increase the value of our product. Like that's what I keep saying about we want to increase the value of our product. So then we bought a production line from China. And while we bought that production line from China, that's when I fully discovered the nuances in international business, international technology transfer, and that is when I saw the real gap. Because yes, we had the machine in place, we had the technical people in place, but then when we were discussing with the suppliers, it was quite funny because we gave them we spoke when we were buying it, we spoke in English. We gave them English dollars. Yeah. And when the production line came to Nigeria, once we got it to Nigeria, we said, okay, let us continue with the commissioning and installation of this production line. And that was when we understood the nuances of how trade and everything works in terms of, okay, now we have the production line here. Give us We asked for this the commissioning instructions, we asked for so many things, and they said that, okay, no, we can we would we should they should bring their engineers to come commissioning for us here. And at that point, we were like, we can't do it ourselves. If you give us instructions, if you give us technology transfer, if you give us documents, the business processes of commissioning it, of how this product works, we can't then do it ourselves. But that was a bit disrupted because, first of all, language barrier was was totally bad because when we were buying it, when we were buying it, we're talking to a professional salesperson that is trained to speak English. Yes. But when we are commissioning, we are speaking to a professional engineer which talks in technical terms. It doesn't need to be technical term doesn't need to be in English. And that's when I realized that that is issue. So the engineer can be saying something, and but you can, if you cannot relay that instruction, if you cannot relay that technology transfer in a suitable language, we cannot understand. So that's why they were urging us to their engineers to bring their engineers to install it. But then we're like, I'm an engineer, we're all engineers, they are qualified people here. How can we make this work? And it was from that experience that I realized that this is a problem, this is a real challenge that needs to be solved. Because when we think about the infrastructure projects that are happening in Africa from China, um, when we think about the machineries that are imported from China to Africa, when 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 it is here, usually there are two things that involve. It's either it's the Chinese people that own the machineries and they run it, and so the machineries are here, but the main indigens in where the location is, we don't really understand how the knowledge behind the machinery. Yeah. Or two is that we've we then need to import their foreign talent to come and help us with our problem. Because and this family business, this was just one point of it. I used to work in a power plant, in a gas power plant, and it was still the same thing. Like there were some problems that we had, some issues that we had, but there were some situations where these machines, like German machines, like production power plant, the German production power plant, once you want to, if the problem escalates to something, you need to you need to fly in a German man from Siemens to come over. Do you know how much money you spend in in flying and flying an engineer to come fix it? Probably you fix it in in 3 hours or 2 days, and then you understand that you spent so much money, and that cost you spent in maintenance also affects your overhead. So that's why we are saying that what we are focusing on is technology transfer, verification of the suppliers and the OEM manufacturers, and then we also want to set up the production line in a way that we can have full control of our capacity to produce.
Kayode, you just opened a new world to me in terms of understanding here. If I'm hearing you correctly, you're saying, listen, uh, maybe based on where we have been, other cultures, other contexts might have advanced themselves technologically, but we have to understand that we need to create systems that really support what we want to do. It's okay to connect with other technological advancement opportunities around the world or globally, but we need to really understand the language behind whatever technological advancement so that it becomes our own to the point of
Yes.
understanding and fixing issues. And that is big, Coyote, because you know what? I am thinking, I mean, how many things do we import? Have we imported from, Germany? Have we imported from China and India and the US? And we don't fully understand how it was actually put together. So when we have issues, who do we bring? We have to fly these experts from all those countries. And like you rightly said, it costs money to fly them and bring them. It's going to take 2 3 days sometimes for them to arrive, and then you pay big bucks for them to come and fix. And it could very well be something because everything behind there is actually written in their language, so they're able to say, okay, this is really what's happening here, bang 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 bang, and they're done. And your coughing out all this money which you don't have because you're trying to get onto the market. So I am hearing this, and I hope that our various ministers of technology across Africa are listening to this. We need to have such a grip on technology to allow our young people to understand, to study some of these things in place so that we are able to fix them. And oh my goodness, I'm just saying, Kayode, this is big, man. This is huge. Thank you for bringing that to our attention. And I can actually see how this would really benefit us. You're talking about production line, and then technology is or the equipment is made somewhere, and then you bring that into your own country. Something goes wrong, you need help beyond yourself. Now, I know that uh, for us as Africans, there are some challenges still with regards to AI in general. Now, would you be so kind to highlight for us what are some of the challenges and difficulties for us as Africans, as a continent? And I'm just thinking those in Africa right now. I know that for you and others in the diaspora, it's a different world altogether. We don't have issues with electricity. We don't have issues with, I mean, they are there, but they are not as critical as they would be in Africa, internet and all that. So what are some of the challenges to enhancing AI in Africa at the moment? What do you see, and yeah, what do you see as our challenges?
So the thing about AI, when you look about AI, is that AI is an information technology, and for information technology to appear, it stands on the ground, on the shoulders of other technology. It stands on ground of logistics. It stands on the ground of manufacturing engines. And AI as a tool, what it does is that it gives you business intelligence. It's more of information transfer so that you can make the right decisions about production, about about the things you are about to produce. It gives you more information about your production. And it's so when we talk, we have challenges about AI, but when we talk about Africa development, we have this is not new news. We have so much infrastructural challenges in terms of um, logistic networks, in terms of um, free trade, in terms of issues, in terms of electrification. So these were for most developed countries. These were aspects that were taken care of during their own industrial revolution. When you talk about engines, railway, before engines, there were steam engines, then there was railway. Railway was like rail tracks. That is what really led to the real um, cheapening or efficiency of production value chains, production lines around. And when you talk about rail, they now talk about mass production and electrification. So these are infrastructural systems that need to be in place for Africa
Hmm.
for development. But however, what AI can do is that what we currently have, it can make what we currently have more efficient. And like I keep saying, in the end, what we are looking for in terms of development is that we need to produce in abundance. And to produce in abundance means you use what you have to produce more. And we already can because we have what it takes. But the main drivers of AI is, like we said, is computers. It's computers, and computers take up energy, and Another thing also takes up is data. Do we have the right um, data collection points in Africa to actually tailor our AI or our business intelligence solutions to our own space? So for us, what we have enough energy to cater our AI system to a certain level. What we need is a lot of sensors and data systems, data points that we can then feed the algorithm and feed the data to then create more relevant information for us. Because
Yeah.
if because if you think about it, there are some AI solutions. It's just that AI learns fast. There are some before now, there are AI solutions that didn't have um, African context in mind. Like before, there was some generative AI that when you type in Africa, is is you might see a poor child with torn clothes, and that is not the real Africa. The real Africa is much more diverse than that. But because the information that was fed to that algorithm at that time was led by um, data points from the West in terms of funding, because what is that's how it plays out in the West. But that's not really the true identity and true information or data points that are relevant to African development. Do um, so in that case, that's why when we want to train our models, when we want to train our AI, we need relevant data points in Africa to actually give us information that we can use.
You are such a great resource, young man, and I'm so glad that we're having this conversation with you today. And thank you for enlightening us on the role of AI in Africa's development, and the knowledge that you have is not just smart from books, but you are a practitioner. You are using these skills right now, and you've used these skills in the past. And we're just so glad that you are uh, sharing this information with us today.
Thank
And
you.
again, our viewers, our listeners, thank you for being with us today. We are here on Love Bay Afrobeat Music Talk Radio, the number one online African and Caribbean music 24/7. And not just music, but we do have a variety of programs as well, including Today's Africa. We have mental health, we have businesses, we have relationships, we have, religious programs, focusing on youth, focusing on quite a variety of things. And so, again, we're just so delighted that we have the opportunity today to be talking to Kayode-Osonuga, who is the founder of Information Age Resources. And now, when it comes to, say, someone with a business, say a business in the cleaning industry, and they are either in the UK or in Africa or in the US or in Canada, in Australia, what do you see as an opportunity for them to tap into AI? What could be done, just
Yeah.
from a realistic perspective here? And I know I'm putting you on the spot here because I know that you are very knowledgeable, but fill us in. How can someone who has a business um, have that business enhanced via AI?
Okay. So that's a very interesting topic. I could talk about manufacturing sectors, but let's even break it down to your example as a cleaning business. If you have a cleaning business, you have first off you have your own resources, which is staff, and you have your staff, and you have your cleaning tools. Yeah. So those are two resources. Then you also have your clients, how to manage your clients, how to manage your staff. Yeah. And so when you want to say how can we use AI in that perspective, it's very easy. We can first talk about we can first analyze how many tools you need for your cleaning business, and how often do you need to replace them. This is something that this is a management function that people do normally, but it can be automated. So you might not need a manager, or you can have a system that automates that. When you talk about your customer relations, we have like when it call the function they call CRM functions, where you you analyze how often a customer needs your service, and then you pre-prompt or proactively prompt that customer to ask you, hey, we noticed that you cleaned 2 days in a row, 3 days in a row. Would you need our services now? So at that point in time, and the AI can write, you don't need to physically type it. You just set a system that actually makes that system work. That okay, you analyze that based on this customer, this is his pattern, and then you can proactively do something about it. You can proactively um, create a lead, a point of sale for them. Then in terms of your personnel, you can talk about like you can track person's performances, you can track performances of your friend, and you can be able to predict that given this point in time, this demand and forecast, this is how this person is. So you can know when you can know how to schedule your rota around this kind of things. So that's why AI comes in. That's what AI does. It comes in form of business intelligence to actually make your operations more efficient. The AI cannot help you start up the business. The AI can help you set up what you already have. You have the employee, you have the cleaning equipment, you have the staff. It will help you organize everything in a way that is more proactive to your business. And and we do it it can be done in so many ways, but this is just a service standalone service business. There's the AI can be used in research in other ways. It can be used in manufacturing in other ways. But for a service business, it also helps with demand forecasting. This service business you're talking about is the service of cleaning. Take for example that you need a service where you need more supply. You um have more inputs, or you have more say in terms of the supply chain that goes before that. You can then forecast what items might be needed based on the demand. So, um, yeah. So So I hope I've answered your question in terms of
Yes,
how
you
you can
have.
use AI. Yeah.
Yes, you have, Kayode. Thank you so much. It sounds like, once I get into some of the things that I would like to do, you would be the right person to tap into, so that we can, pick your brains, because you are a practitioner. There's no
Yeah.
question about it. And this is very, very helpful. I appreciate that. And I
Yeah.
can
And there are so
imagine,
many tools.
even our listeners and viewers, listening to our conversation, they actually realize that there's so much in AI that we need to tap into. And like you said earlier, we need to understand how it works. That way we are able to see how would it enhance what we want to do, or what we are doing. And sorry, I interrupted. You were saying something there.
No, I know. I was just talking about there are so many tools you can use, and there's so many tools you can use. But one thing that I think is very important in utilizing AI is having a domain knowledge of what you're operating in. Like a cleaning business person would know the certain parameters or the certain points that their business operates in. And it's where you are able to look at those points. The AI can give you the information on how to predict how those things, how those factors can make you more money. So I think that's the
Mhm.
main thing. So you need to first how to understand AI is first understanding your business, and then how AI can affect that business. produce more. There are so many
Yeah.
tools.
Yeah, this is very, very helpful, Kayode. I really, really appreciate, and I'm enjoying our conversation. I mean, you are uh, such a wealth of knowledge. Again, our viewers, our listeners, you are here on today's Africa on Love Bay Afrobeat Music Talk Radio, the number one online Caribbean and African music. And not just music 24/7, but we also have a variety of programs, including today's Africa. And today we're delighted to have Kayode uh, Osonuga, who is the founder of Information Age Resources, a young man who is helping us to understand the role and value of AI and how it is able to help us to understand what we are doing and what we want to do. Now, as we think about Africa, Kayode, we think about improving efficiency. We have agriculture, we have areas of social development, and we have governance. Now, those of us who might be older and not schooled and skilled in the way that you are could look at this and say, well, how does this help us? I know with regards to business and all that, you shared some thoughts. Now, how would AI help us as Africans to be better leaders who are down to earth, connecting with people? And you think about job creation in Africa. Over 80-85% of our population in Africa is below 30. So definitely we are concerned about ensuring that we are creating a future for our young people. Now, you speaking from within that age bracket, being young, what would you say if you had an opportunity, and you do have an opportunity today to actually use this platform to say, ladies and gentlemen, honorable leaders and presidents and vice presidents and ministers of technology and education and all that, please listen to me. Kayode, what would you say if everybody was right in front of you saying, okay, Kayode, we want Africa to be better. I mean, we are good. We have excellent resources. Many of them, the wealth of the world is based in Africa, and we provide tons and tons of uh, things to the world around us. But hey, ladies and gentlemen, let's put our house in order. What would you say? What would you say if you were going to speak to these honorable ministers and ambassadors and policymakers as far as AI is concerned? How would you summarize these things we're talking about and saying, hear me out today? What would you say to them, Kayode?
I would say that this is our time. At this moment in time where there's a disruptive technology happening, this is our time to take charge of it. Um, Today, Africa is today stands as India in the 1700s, where it is our time to actually, with the advent of the African Free Trade Zone, free trade area, and AI, where we can connect 1.4 billion. Our market is like 1.4 billion across 25 nations. This is a time to be able to gather ourselves together and push for what we want in terms of getting the right capital to push what we want, and then utilizing and optimizing the capital in the way that makes it work for us. Because there's an adage that says you can break one broomstick once, but if all the sticks are put together and forms a real broom, you can't break it. So we can utilize AI in our manufacturing linkages in terms of getting our resources to the right manufacturers in Africa to produce add value to Africa and create African products in Africa. We can also help with energy optimization in terms of the energy we have now. We can utilize it. We can utilize what we have now to make things better for ourselves. So this is our time to to leapfrog. This is our leapfrog moment. This is our only opportunity. This is another industrial revolution, and we as Africans need to take up that mantle to join in the revolution and industrial revolution of Africa. Because Pan Africanism is not just about unity, it is really about economic sovereignty for us to own the value of our production, for us to own the value of our production. Our land, our mineral resources belongs to us, and we need to own it by harnessing our technology, by harnessing our machine, creating better machines that can actually add value to our land. And we can only do that through proper inter-border trade, real, real production capacity, and distributed networks and a skill frog job, a skill frogging, because we have a lot of knowledgeable people in Africa, but what we need is specialized skills for specialized operations. And that specialized operations might not necessarily be taught in our universities. They teach us our universities to understand the broad knowledge of things, but a specialized application for exact things, for exact business processes can be taught in a matter of months. Things that could take someone things that could take someone 3 years to learn. With AI beside you while you are doing what you're doing. Take for example, let's say you're welding. The welder, if there's an AI, if there's an AI tool beside him, they know how to weld. They can actually instruct him on how to weld faster. So there's a skill, there's a way we can take ourselves as and frog jump and like make ourselves much better. So, but we need to be able to focus and ensure that we are harnessing AI for the best tools, and we're able to optimize what we have. Because the thing is that we have little in Africa, but we want to waste it rather than optimizing what we have to produce the abundance that really matters. We don't need we don't need technology from from other continents. What we need is the machinery to produce it ourselves, to understand the machinery, to replicate it, and produce more machineries for as a tool for production. That's what China did in the 1900s, where they bought a lot of machineries from Japan and Germany, and they increased their local production, and they were able to replicate those machines. And that's what we as Africans need to do. And with our resources, what we have, we can then understand and fully own the technology that is in place in Africa. Because we don't own the technology in Africa. We use technology in Africa, but we don't own the technology in Africa. So
Mm.
AI has that opportunity for us to own that technology. And yeah, if I was to say anything, is that we need ownership of technology, for us to own the resources, for us to have value for our resources. Because right now we can only trade our resources um, for money, but that's the money is not the end goal. The end goal is abundance, resource abundance.
Oh my word. Kayode, you are such a great resource, and I'm really delighted that we're having this conversation. I like to believe that our viewers and our listeners are benefiting from the information you're sharing with us. I really liked the point you made, and I hope that our leaders our policymakers in Africa are paying attention, or we are paying attention to this. You said we use technology, but we do not own the technology, and we need to find a way to understand how machines work, and we get to the point of owning these machines so that if they break down, we are able to fix them. And in this technologically advanced world, there are ways in which we are able to share information. I think you put it succinctly earlier when you said this is technology transfer, dispensation. This is what we're dealing with in this present world, transferring information from one place to another. And you were saying when we understand how that works, then we are able to enhance. We are able to harness and to optimize so that things become better for us. And so, I'm just really, really grateful that we are having this conversation with you today. And again, to our viewers and our listeners, we're glad you're here with us here on Love Bay Afrobeat Music Talk Radio. And this is your host, Dr. FM, talking to Kayode-Osonuga, who is the founder of Information Age Resources, helping us to understand the value, the role of AI in Africa's development. And you have made your point loud and clear. And I liked the emphasis you put. This is our time. This is our time. Pan-Africanism depends not just in political rhetoric, but economics. We're talking about trade. We're talking about understanding our relationships and knowing, like you said earlier, Kayode, you are an African first and foremost, and that is wonderful for me to hear that. I mean, when you think of our giants like Dr. Francis Kwame Nkrumah, who said, I'm not African because I was born in Africa, but because Africa was born in me. That's quite a powerful understanding, and it's good to see that the young people like yourself are embracing this. Now, Kayode, I'm looking at the time and I'm like, oh my goodness, it's almost an hour that we've been chatting, and we have talked about so many things, and you have been very eloquent in terms of helping us to understand all this. Now, Kayode, as we wind down, I'm just wondering what would be your words of advice to a young person? I know that not everyone would grow up with the kinds of privileges that you have had. I mean, it was a family business and you've been active in this, and now you're settled in England. And so you have a young person who's like, Kayode grew up with a silver spoon or a golden spoon in his mouth. He doesn't know what it means to be out here without a computer, without a phone that really works. What would be your words of encouragement, Kayode, to another young person who would say, this AI is something I'm interested in? What kinds of advice would you share with them? Just bringing a sense of hope and actually say, listen, I started with nothing and here I am. These are some pointers for you to bear in mind. I have a nephew who is very intelligent. It's like self-taught for him in so many ways, and he has done very, very well. So he is actually Francis Jr. And so I am thinking, what sort of things would you say to young people, say on the continent of Africa, who are interested in AI? How would you reel them in to look at what you're doing and what you're talking about is something that they can also get into?
Um, for me, like if I was to tell anyone about I would say that I would just tell them that AI is a tool to produce more, and that is, and for us, the game of what we are playing right now is for us to produce more. The more you do, the more you produce, the more you produce, the more money you get. It's not about the money. It's not about the money. It's about being productive. It's
Mm,
really about being productive, and we can produce more. It's like AI is not about like sometimes we could see a lot of people generating content using AI and it's very funny. But if you're not producing content in a way that makes you produce it so much faster, there's that's not the game. The game is for you to produce more, and the more you produce, the more money you get. It's all about production. If in terms of whatever business you are doing, you need to first think about what are the factors that affects my business, that
mm,
affects what I'm doing, and at that point when you streamline the factors that affect your business, you can then ask, how does AI help me with it? And I prove it to you that there is something that can help you with.
mm.
If you are looking for richer clients, the AI will help you with it. If you are looking for cheaper suppliers, AI will help you with it. All you need to know is all you need to focus on as an African is how do I produce more? How do I produce more? What do I have in my hand that I can use to multiply? And yeah, that is the only way. That's the mindset that we need to be on as Africans. It's not about money. It's about productivity because we need
Mhm.
to be in a situation of abundance. Abundance is the game.
I like that emphasis on productivity, productivity, productivity. It's not about the money, but productivity, enhancing whatever you're doing so that it becomes better. Now, what could I know I'm going to be very personal here, but what do you see an online radio station like Love Bay Afrobeat Music Talk Radio? Uh, like how can we become better through AI? What comes to mind? I know I'm putting you on the spot here, and of course you can't say anything bad to us because we're talking nicely with you. But I'm just wondering what do you see as things that we could tap into as an online radio station? And of course there are so many other online radio stations around the world, and somebody might be, hey, you know what, I'm doing this. I do have several friends who have podcasts. So what comes to mind, Kayode, as words of advice, words of encouragement, words of wisdom?
Yeah, yeah. So, like I said, thanks so much for this flattery. It's so good, and I really appreciate it. But you, like we said, as an online radio station, you first have to look at what are you? Do you want more audience, or do you want to streamline type of audience you want? Do you and it's at that point in time that you now look at how can I use the data I've gotten from type of audience I have, type and you tie it with the type of shows I already do. What type of shows bring what type of audience? What type of so it's those data points that you look at, and once you have those data points, that is what you use to feed an algorithm to give you information, business information to say this is how we will arrange the shows. These are the points in time that people listen to music and people don't want to listen to a talk show. They want to listen to music. This is the time. This is the type of talks that is trending with our audiences. These are the business information that AI can give you. But and you can only find that out. by having the groundwork, which you have so much content. You have so much content. So you look at the viewership of like, this is what this person, this is we had this many um viewerships at this point in time. At this point in time, this is when people are most listening to our radio station. So if we want to put out a message, this is perfect time for us to put out that message when the listening of our audience is at a high. So those are this type of information. So you have to first ask yourself, what is the goal I'm trying to get? And once you find out the goal you're trying to get, that is how AI will give you the right business intelligence for what you want to do. For African development, I just say it's about producing more, about abundance. So
Yeah.
that's what I'm looking at. But for a radio station, we know that we only have 24 hours in a day. So it's about how can we fit. So we can't produce more content in those 24 hours, but we can produce more audience. We can produce better quality of audience if we want to connect to ministers, if we want to connect to politicians. We can then first of all know how to target our marketing. That's one. And if you have to use some tools to understand the data of the audience, and by the time you get that data to understand what you need, that is when you can now target what you want. It's like when you get into like um the the intricacies of data science and what you want is it's so interesting. It's so interesting, and I hope that we can use this knowledge to get what we want, because it's still get what we're looking for. It's so interesting, and I hope with what I've told you, you can think about it, or we can work on it on your back end. If you can look at your back end to see, okay, what data do you have?
We will definitely do that, Kayode. We have to bring you back because you are such a great, well, I mean, you have a great wealth of knowledge to be shared. Bev, who is listening from Toronto, a first-time viewer, I say it's a great topic. And Samson Adeniyo, who is in Syracuse in New York, says Africa is in good hands with this young man. Great show. So it is wonderful to hear the comments from our listeners and viewers who are enjoying our topic today, because Kayode, the kind of information you've shared with us is very valuable, and obviously this just shows that Africa is no longer a food to be eaten at the table. We are actually able to sit at the table in dialogue and contribute to what is happening. Professor PLO Lumumba is very, very passionate about making sure that we as Africans rise up and take our place in dialogues, and be able to share with others so that they understand what's happening in Africa. And you have done a wonderful, wonderful job. And again, as we come to the end of our podcast today, I'm just so delighted. Kayode, we have to bring you back. We have to bring you back, and that's not a threat; it's a promise. Because the kinds of things that you have shared with us is so transformational, really. And I'm delighted. I agree with the listener and viewer who said that Africa is in good hands with this young man. You really are. Um, a force to reckon with, a young person who understands technology, and you're saying let's manufacture, let's use AI for research so that we can enhance and optimize opportunities for Africa's development. And so, again, this is Love Bay Afrobeat Music Talk Radio. We are here today with Kayode-Osonuga, who is the founder of Information Age Resources. a young man who understands technology and helping us to understand the role and value of AI in Africa's development. Um, Kayode, as we wind down, I know you have shared lots of things, and we're so grateful. I've been trying to take notes here, and I will have to play this over and over again to capture and recapture some of the things you have shared with us. But I'm just wondering, what would be some of your parting comments, parting words? You might say, listen, if you forget everything else I have said, I want you to remember this. What would be that? uh, just summarize for us things that you would like to leave with us as we seek to understand the role and place of AI in Africa's development.
Um, Thank you so much, and it's been a wonderful opportunity to be here. And the last thing I want to say, and I've said this so many times, is that the goal and the aim of Africa right now for African development is for us to be able to produce more in abundance. That is what capitalism is, and that is how the quality of our lives can improve as Africans in Africa. Is to produce more food, produce more electricity, produce more, and that is all. We just need to be able to produce more, and AI can help us with that. AI can help us with producing more efficiently and effectively. We just need to produce more, and there's abundance in Africa. We don't need anything. We have everything in our land. We just need to be able to produce what we have in our land, own our technology. That's all I have to say. Around parting point. And yeah, so
This is great. Now I know that I do have your information, but Kayode, how can some other people find you in the
uh,
social media and all that? Are you comfortable with people just connecting with you, bouncing off
yeah,
ideas? I know you consult, but you also are a great resource in terms of sharing things with other people, and obviously Love Bay Afrobeat Music Talk Radio. We are so delighted you've given us some food for thought, and we will definitely be knocking on your door to make sure that we can tap into the kinds of skills that you have. And
yeah,
are you able to share? I mean, of
yeah,
course, I understand if you say, "Well, listen, it's
yeah.
confidential, it's classified information." But if you wish to let other people know how they can find you on social media, that would be excellent. And obviously, we can also, if anybody contacts us, then we would be able to provide that. But feel free to share your thoughts on that.
Yeah, yeah, that's very great. You can connect me on LinkedIn at Kayode-Osonuga, Kayode-Osonuga, or you can go to my website informationaidresources.com to share whatever you need. If you need some services, if you want to get some suppliers from China. If you want to verify OEM suppliers from China, we can help with that. If you want to set up a production line, we also help with that. We can also give you and make sure you get the right business information, a right business plan for your setup in manufacturing, and we guide through processes if you're trying to produce something in Africa. If there are some if there's some roadblocks, we can help you with local authorities. If you have something, uh, if you have a situation in your manufacturing journey, we help with that. And for most especially, if you're trying to get something from China, if you want to get machinery, or if you want to start your business and you want to get or you want to verify your OEM suppliers, or manufacturers, we can meet us and we can then source it out for you, or we can verify if this person is a good business person from China. Um, or you can message me on LinkedIn, Kayode-Osonuga, and you can go into my website and drop a message on my website at informationaidresources.com. Or you can give me an email at info at informationaidresources.com. informationaidresources.com. Info@informationaidresources.com.
Excellent.
Thank
This is very, very helpful, and thank you for being generous even with your contact information, and of course, our viewers and our listeners who would like to connect with you, they can do that. They can actually search your name, Kayode-Osonuga, and find you in social media. This has been a real treat, and what an honor it is for us to have you as our special guest today. And thank you so much. Like I said, we will definitely bring you back because you are such a great resource. We need to find out some of the things. I think next time we'll be delving into some of the things that you are doing, and so that we get to see how you as a practitioner are actually engaging some of these and share with our viewers. And we're just so delighted. Thank you so much for being with us. Uh, Again, this has been your host, Dr. FM, on Love Bay Afrobeat Music Talk Radio, the number one African and Caribbean online radio station. And we have been talking here today with Kayode-Osonuga, who is the founder of Information Age Resources. A young man who understands technology, and like someone said earlier, Africa is in good hands when we have young people like him. And there are many others. We need to hear from you. We need to know what is happening so that we can share with other people as well. So again, thank you so much for being with us today. Again, just remember, please subscribe to this podcast so that you get to hear some of those that have happened and what will be happening. And of course, share the channel with people within your own networks. And we're just so delighted. And remember, on top of the hour, there's the Caribbean flavor with Mr. Marcus and Miss Gentle Blue. And you don't want to miss that. And again, this has been your host, Dr. FM, Dr. Francis Munangi Mpindu, here on Love Bay Afrobeat Music Talk Radio, your number one online Caribbean and African music genres. And we also have a variety of programs, including this one, Today's Africa. We have mental health, we have relationships, we have marriage, matters, we have business opportunities, we have quite a variety. And like I mentioned last time, when I'm busy at home and even in the office, I turn it down and have Afrobeat Music Talk Radio in the background. And you can also do the same. So again, thank you for being with us. And to our listeners and viewers, remember, we will meet again next week on Love Bay Afrobeat Music Talk Radio. We go live on LinkedIn, on YouTube, on Instagram and Facebook, and of course, StreamYard here at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And so again, thank you for being with us. Keep on keeping on doing the right things, and let's make this world a better place by contributing positively to those around us and in the world as well. So thank you for being with us. We will connect again next week.